Hello, good evening. It took just 10 hours for the jury in the trial of Derek Chauvin to reach their unanimous verdict. On all three counts, they found him guilty of the murder of George Floyd. As the judge read out the verdict in the Minneapolis court, word spread to the streets, crowds gathered at the very corner George Floyd died, and those murmurs spread to cheers. The evidence of the killing had been caught on camera, circulated around the world. But the jurors were tasked with deciding what was in Chauvin's mind. Was he doing what he'd been authorised, trained to do, or was he guilty of cold-blooded murder? Tonight, that verdict came loud and clear. It was George Floyd's death that triggered worldwide protests last year at the height of the COVID pandemic, from those who believed it spoke to the value of black life in America and who wanted to see law enforcement held to account for reckless action. Tonight, many will start to dare to believe that reckoning has begun. Let's speak to Larry Madowu, who's on the ground in Minneapolis for us tonight with first reaction. Larry. Let me ask Rachel Pellows, the legal steps now of what happens next. What kind of sentencing will Derek Chauvin be looking at, do you think? What will he appeal? Now, there are many words being used to describe the last 48 hours of European Super League talk. Most of them couldn't be repeated here. But tonight, what was perhaps one of the most reviled projects in professional football for decades lies in tatters. In the last few minutes, literally since we've been on air, confirmation from our colleagues at BBC Sport that all 6 English clubs now plan to withdraw from the new league after pressure from fans and almost everyone else. Earlier this evening, ironically perhaps, we had the first full-throated defence of the controversial competition. Real Madrid's president defended its formation, saying it was the way to save football, which he said was in freefall. Fans had been vehement in their condemnation of a league that would have removed the jeopardy and the excitement of the relegation zone. Protests formed at Chelsea's Stamford Bridge tonight, and Nick Watt caught the mood as news of that club's rethink was filtering through there. Thank you. Would a COVID vaccine passport liberate a nation or divide it? One of the toughest questions to answer for each country right now. And this week, government representatives are in Jerusalem to look at what the country who has led the way on vaccination is doing there. The COVID Green Pass is an app that could soon provide a model for vaccine passports here. But in Israel, where the Palestinian population has not been inoculated at anywhere near the rate of the Israeli population, there is plenty of concern about the passport's ability to widen the gulf. In a moment, we'll hear from Israel's ambassador to the UK, who's giving her first broadcast interview to Newsnight. First, the background.
And it's wonderful.
The majority of adults in Israel, but many Palestinians right on your doorstep, are not. There is a concern that it has exacerbated already existing inequalities between communities that are vaccinated and those aren't. In Israel, that divide is profound.
Well, let's